Good morning, everybody. How you doing? We're at the garden today, and we're going to be working on some tomatoes. That big old tangled patch behind me, I need to get in there and I need to pick out all the suckers, and I'm going to single stem them like I do every year, and then we're going to clip them all up with these. If you guys want a super awesome, easy way to tie up to your tomatoes, these things give me the fizz. These things are great. So I'll show you what we're doing. We're gonna work our way down the line. I have 55 tomato plants here. Some of them I've already cleaned up, some of them I haven't touched, some of them are a disaster. So we gotta do a bunch of work, and by the time we're done, we're gonna have some nice, clean, straight, tied up tomato plants because that's what we gotta do. Sorry about the shaking camera, guys. It's friggin' cold out here and I forgot to bring a sweater. So this is the first tomato plant in a row. This one is a mortgage lifter, and you can see it's got numerous suckers that are just growing out, and we can't have that. Okay, so we're gonna get in here and I'll thin it out a little bit so you guys can see a little better, and then I'll explain kind of the process. Okay, give me a second. Here is that same plant. Now see, we've got the main vine and we're bringing it up, and we just tie it up as we go with these clips right onto the trellis netting, and I've done the one beside it as well. And this massive pile is what came off two little plants, and I've got this whole row to do. So you always know the main vine when you're trimming, because your main vine is going to be putting out your fruit set. Okay, so if you're ever trying to figure out if your plant gets way out of control, okay, track your fruit set up and up and up and up, and then you'll have a better idea. Now, your suckers will also put out fruit. See, like here, hang on. This sucker got so big, it started putting out fruit set as well, but it comes off of the sucker onto there. Okay, so we're just gonna work our way down, and there is some, like, this is what I'm talking about. See, you gotta follow your main vine and then decide. See, this one splits right there, so I'm gonna have to make a decision which one of these I want to keep. So because this one is tied up here, I'm going to cut this whole vine right out, because all of these are indeterminate varieties. So we'll bring you back to here because it's easier to see. Okay, all of your growth comes right out of the main growth tip, out of the top. So it'll just continue to grow taller and taller till we hit the top of that trellis, and then hopefully it just keeps on going. So let's start knocking out some of these plants. Okay, so we are at the last tomato plant on the long row. So I've got that side done and this side done, and I'm down to these last two plants, and it's a little easier. Whoa, don't fall. It's a little easier to film down here, so I'll show you what I'm talking about. So you see this? Get out of the way. That's a sucker, okay? Growing right off the main vine. So this sucker will grow from this growth tip right here, and it will eventually put out fruit. But we don't let those grow. So we go up the plant, we take off that sucker, and then you see down here, you see that? See how it looks like crap? Okay. We don't let any of the leaves touch the ground. Any leaves that touch the ground are a vector for disease for the plant. So we're going to trim off anything that looks like that. You see that one back here? It's been touching the ground. We've had a lot of rain. Now you see what it looks like. Okay. So that one's got to go. Big old leaves in the way here. Hang on. You know what? We'll just snip that right out of the way. So we'll just come back in here. Cut that off. See? Sick. Not healthy. So we don't want leaves touching the ground. So as I come through, anything that's touching the ground, we chop off. And then we just work our way up. So suckers are always going to grow between your leaf-bearing branches like that and the main stem. So here's a little tiny sucker. So this is the best way to catch them, right? Gone. See? And then you just go around the plant. See, here's another little sucker right here. Right? So we just pinch that off. And then you work your way up. Up, 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 up. See? Here's another sucker. So you can normally pinch them off. And that's what I do. But I've also got my pruners just in case. So one of the biggest things you need to worry about with your tomato patch is airflow, right? Because that's what's really going to help cut down on disease. So that's one of the reasons why I don't let any suckers grow in here. And if you look at the path, that's all chopped tomato branches. When I get all this done here, I've got 2 more plants to do. When I'm done, I'll clean all this up and I'll put it in a pile, and you'll see how much foliage I've taken off all these plants. There's going to be a pretty big pile. I've been walking all over it, so it's a little squished. But so I just have 1 more plant here. Okay, so these plants are 12 inches apart. Okay, so we're just going to come in here. 1 on the bottom, don't like that, take that off. Come up here. Sorry, trying to ram the camera up into all this foliage. There's another sucker right there. You see it in the middle of the screen? Right here. Gone. So you just follow your stem up. No more suckers until you get to this one right here. This is kind of hard to do. Let's get this in here, snip that out. There we go. Another sucker. Come up to the top. Now, normally what I will do is I leave, get a better angle here. You see this sucker? That's the top of the plant. I always leave, as long as I'm able to, I always leave the last little sucker, because let's say something happens to the top of this plant. Let's say hornworm comes in and chews the top of that off, right? Then that would literally be the end of the plant. It's going to die because there's no more way for it to grow. See all that? That's all tomato stuff. So that's why I always try and leave that last top sucker until this gets a little bit longer, because if this breaks off, I can just let that little sucker right there, that will grow into a growth tip. And I've had to do that before. And then you end up with situations like this, right? So this tomato has literally split at the top. See, and it's flat. See? It's flat. So here you need to make a decision on which one of these you want to be your growth tip. So I'm going to keep this one because it's growing more straight up and down, and we're cutting that one out. Sometimes tomatoes do weird things. Like, where's that plant? I've got a plant here. Where is it? Hang on, bear with me. We'll find it. The whole top has gone. Oh, here we go. Let me set the tripod up. There. Okay. Look what's happening here. This plant doesn't know which way is what. And then look at these flowers. Okay? It's grown in like a blob. So I'm just gonna leave this plant and the top of this plant go for a little bit and let it kind of decide what it wants to do, because you see how all these flowers are all just smashed up in a clump, and then the top has done this weird, I don't even know. So, and that's not a growth tip. That's leaves, right? So maybe this here is going to be the growth tip. So we'll just set that there for a second. You know what we're gonna do? We're gonna pull that onto this side, and then we're gonna let that go. But you see how thin, look how thin that branch is. Look how thin that is. And then we'll swing it around and look how wide it is. That's almost an inch wide here. So sometimes tomatoes do some weird things. So instead of just chopping it out, sometimes you're better off to just give the plant a week or so to figure out what it wants to do. Oh, it's hard to set a tripod up in these aisles because they're narrow. Cutting out some stuff here. But we're growing. I mean, there's tomatoes. See, we're growing tomatoes already. Here's some of those beautiful purple cherry tomatoes. So I'm gonna clean up all of this cut tomato bits and I'll put it in a pile and I'll show you how much came off these. So there we are. There's the pile that I've just cut out. Coffee can for size reference. So, and I've been stepping all over these so they're all flat and squished. So that's what we cut off the tomatoes. Now they're looking way better. Getting the airflow in there, getting them standing straight up and down. We had a bit of a rough start with no rain and 36-degree temperatures frying my plants. So we're gonna get them going slowly but surely. And we've had so much rain that the weeds are starting to come out everywhere, so I've been weeding. So the tomatoes are coming. Everything else is coming along too. I'll give you guys an update or something, okay? So that's and this is the other issue we're having with the tomato plants. Look down the row here. You see how it's pulled them all out that way? See, look at all the stems. See how they're all bent? So I gotta get another T-post in here, and I'm going to have to pull this back and up and tighten it out, because as these get heavier, it's just going to keep pulling this trellis netting out that way, and eventually, it's going to be way the hell out there, and that's just not going to work. So, I mean, it's already probably 18 inches off center where it was. So, I mean, here, look, there's a perfect example. Look at that. You see what I'm saying? So I'm going to have to rectify that shortly, because this is going to end up completely closing off this pathway. I won't even be able to work my way down here. So see, look at that. I'll line up the T-posts. See, they're kicked way out. So I'll have to deal with that. I figured it was going to be an issue because this is south, right? So they're all growing towards that way. So, all right, guys, get your tomatoes going. Get everything growing. Grow good food. Make sure you're taking care of it. Water it. Weed it. Cucumbers look like a crap. So I've got a solution for that in my pocket. Okay, have a great day, guys. Like, subscribe, share, smash the thumbs up, leave a comment, do all the awesome social media things, and I'll talk to you later. Bye.